Dan Gordon, good morning. How are you? How's your family?
Good morning. Good morning, Kerry and your listeners. My family are well, thank you. Thank you for asking.
That's the one. So what do you think of our new logo? Travel local, buy local, listen local. Well, I just sort of made that up on the spot. But do you?
Look, I think that's got a lot of merit, and I think, look, at the moment, certainly through my messaging, I've been pushing out is to encourage people to buy local, because in buying local, you're supporting locals and local employment and keeping businesses going, which is really important at this time. So we're in lockdown still, but there are opportunities for people to do that. I've gone out and bought takeaway coffee, bought some takeaways and other things. So, things where we can, and let's hope we're getting into level 2 soon, and the indication seems to be suggesting that may be coming. So we're just keeping our ears to the ground.
Absolutely.
And then we'll be able to support further. But it is going to be important that we do support local business, because that keeps our local economy going and people employed in jobs. And that's really important to me.
Local businesses supporting locals and locals supporting local businesses. It's all about that. Now, the month of May...
Sorry, I forgot the local radio station. Sorry, of course, that goes without saying.
Yes, of course. I mean, I'd be surprised if you listened to anything else, to be honest, Dan.
That's right. Well, I don't. In between Zooms, that's what I do.
Good on you.
The Compass FM.
Hey, let's we have a captive audience. We like that. Now, the thing is that we'll have a chat about Zoom in just a moment, but there is something that I did mention around 8:45 this morning. That is where we're starting to play one or two local artists, local Canterbury artists who have never been on the radio before, to get a bit of exposure if they actually can carry a tune and have got maybe an MP3 recording. I did mention the fact that we could talk to you about doing that. You're a bit of a singer. I understand you've been in a choir before. Have you ever thought about plugging a bass guitar in and just hitting the G string and singing, I don't know, something at all? Have you ever done that? And would you like to do that?
It'd be one sure way to turn the radio off. Look, I did sing when I was younger in that school, and I was in the school scholars and choirs, and I enjoyed that aspect. But something happened as I grew up, and I went from a certain sounding voice to a very deep voice, and my days of singing sort of ended. I can sing the national anthem and those sort of things well, and to myself in the shower and in my car, I'm perfectly happy to sing, but I definitely wouldn't want to put that on anyone else. So I'd encourage people that have got talent to get on there, and I don't classify myself in that category, but thank you for the invitation.
No, it's no problem at all, Dan. Manager compassfm@gmail.com. That's our email address. So you went from a soprano to a baritone. We're loving that. To be honest, I pretty much did the same thing, but whereas I didn't grow tall, or you did, that's fine. Hey, I think we should move on and talk about Zoom meetings. The Zoom meetings, I was having a chat with Kirsten Barnett yesterday, and she was saying that the council is using a lot of these Zoom meetings, and she would be quite happy for them to continue in one way, shape or form. Is that some part of the planning for the Waimakariri District Council?
Well, council will be Zooming for the foreseeable future. We'll be looking at what we do and as we come out of the various levels. But I spend all my day in Zoom meetings pretty much now, and we've got full council this afternoon, which will be in Zoom, and that'll be live streamed. The difficulty there is it's just, and we're working through that at the moment. If we continue to do it, it will be just making sure we've got the right technology to support that. And so that's not inexpensive. And when we're in a climate that we're in at the moment, spending probably in the order of 20 to 50,000 to upgrade the council chambers to support that, I don't think people would see that as a good use of council money when we're in a climate where we're trying to reduce expenditure. But in principle, I think it's a great idea, and I certainly would like to explore it. But my understanding is that it's just the cost of having the right technology. So when a councillor speaks, it can be in the chambers, it can be then broadcast properly. But at the moment, where we're doing it from our homes and we're hooked in, that's working well. But there's an aspect of meetings as well where a lot of people would like to return to a normal meeting process. But certainly for where we can, I do support technology being used. But I just my caution is around the cost, and that's the sort of thing we'll just need to explore. But certainly it's helped me keep connected with mayoral forums, a lot of national calls, and there's a whole raft of things that we're doing now on there that I think will be very good going forward, which will mean that we probably don't need to travel as much, and we've shown it's effective to keep connected. So it's certainly, I think going forward there'll be a lot of looking at most efficient way of meeting.
Absolutely. I think it's a great idea. If you can knock a couple of 40-minute car trips on the head, that'll be absolutely good for not only the back pocket but for the environment as well. And talking about costs and other bits and pieces, I very rarely will I talk about other city councils to you, Dan, because it's not really the thing. But I've noticed in the on various websites and other bits and pieces, news websites, that there's a bit of a discussion going on about the Christchurch City Council and how many people are getting paid quite a lot of money. No, not the Christchurch City Council itself, the councillors, but those that actually run the city. We have here in the Waimakariri people who are on duplicate jobs, shall we say. Are the ones in Christchurch getting paid far too much, or the ones in the Waimakariri getting paid too little?
It's difficult for me to comment on that specifically without looking into it, but we have here we have senior, we have excellent staff, and to get the right sort of staff, you have got to pay commensurate market rates to make sure that we attract the right sort of people to be leading the infrastructural projects in other areas that we've got. I can't tell you what our bands are without doing some homework on it, but I did see the report in the paper the other day, and I don't really want to get into commenting about that. That's a matter for the city as they go through and discuss their budgets, but we certainly have highly talented staff that look after our district and look after our assets, and we've got to make sure that they're paid right so that we get the right people doing it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. As I say, very rarely will I talk about that sort of thing. It's just it seemed a lot of people are getting paid a heck of a lot of money, and that's okay. That's their issue to deal with.
Well, we're going through. As I mentioned, we are going through our budgets. We are looking very seriously at where we can make savings. We certainly understand that business as usual has changed, and as we go through that, we're trying to identify where we can make savings so that we can pass it on. Certainly the rate increase that we projected at 4%, it's unlikely to remain at that. There's a movement towards zero from some councils. We've discussed it as a team, and we're working to see where we can get to, but we want to be responsible on what we're setting as well, because it's all well and good to go to a zero rating, but you put out of pressure on other years, and that's the last thing we want to see happen. And we've got a dilemma in that space too, because we've got people saying we need the council to be spending right to support the community, make sure contractors are employed, and then we've got the other side that want to see savings achieved so that our rates are low. So that's going to be a real balancing act as we go into it. And we've got our hearing submissions on Wednesday, so we'll be hearing submissions from those that have put them in on the council's budget. So that's the start of our process as we go through to signing off our draft plan for the following year. But it's certainly unlikely to be, well, I wouldn't want to put a figure on it, but it would be somewhere between 0 and 2% would be my estimate of where we're contemplating the commitment from councils to get the rates as low as possible.
Absolutely. Well, let's have a chat about that next week. Dan Gordon, Mayor of the Waimakariri District, I do appreciate you coming on to Compass FM every week at this time and facing the absolute softball questions that I throw at you, and every now and again the old curly one. That's okay as well. So Dan, we'll chat to you next week. All right.
Great to talk to you. Look forward to next week. Have a good week.
It's Compass FM. What?